Engines restarted. Not aggressively this time, but cautiously, like predators unsure whether they were still allowed to hunt. Inside the cafe, no one spoke. The waitress poured herself a cup of coffee. She took one sip. Then she looked at the clock on the wall. It had stopped. She reached up and restarted it. The ticking resumed. Time moved forward again. The child watched her closely. "You're late," he said. She smiled faintly. "Only a little," she replied. Outside the cafe, a line was being crossed, and no one had realized it yet. The cafe did not celebrate. There was no rush of relief, no applause, no laughter breaking through the tension. People stayed where they were, bodies stiff, eyes darting toward the door every few seconds, as if expecting the soldiers to return and correct some terrible mistake. The waitress wiped the counter in slow, even strokes. The cloth moved left to right. Left to right. The rhythm was steady enough to be calming, if anyone had been capable of calm. The mother finally loosened her grip on the child's wrist. Her hand trembled as she pulled it back, flexing her fingers as if they'd gone numb. "What was that?" she whispered. The child shrugged. "I was thirsty," he said. The answer made no sense. None of this did. A man at the corner table stood halfway, then sat back down when his legs refused to cooperate. Another customer let out a quiet sob, covering her mouth immediately afterward, embarrassed by the sound of her own fear. The waitress placed clean cups on the counter. One by one, the clock ticked. Outside, the engines moved farther away, not retreating, repositioning, a tactical withdrawal disguised as patience. The war was still there. It had simply stepped back. The door opened. Everyone flinched, but it wasn't a soldier. It was a man in a dark jacket, breathing hard, eyes wide with disbelief. He stepped inside like he was crossing a threshold he wasn't sure would hold. "They're gone," he said. No one responded. "They're really gone," he repeated, louder this time. The checkpoint down the street just opened. Still nothing. He looked around, confused by the lack of reaction. His gaze landed on the waitress. "You," he said, pointing. "What did you do?" She met his eyes briefly. Then she turned away and continued wiping the counter. The man waited. Nothing. The child slid off his chair and walked toward the counter. His footsteps were light, unafraid. He stopped beside the waitress and looked up at her. "Are they mad?" he asked. She rinsed the cloth in the sink. "No," she said. "They're embarrassed." The words settled over the room, strangely. Embarrassment implied witnesses. Memory. Something that could not be erased with force. The man in the jacket laughed nervously. "Embarrassed," he said. "They had tanks." The waitress hung the cloth neatly to dry. "So do other people," she replied. Outside the cafe, far beyond a range of hearing, conversations were happening in rooms designed for secrecy. Voices were lowered. Names were avoided. Screens glowed with live feeds and frozen frames pulled from satellite angles that did not explain what had just occurred. Orders had been interrupted. Chains of command had bent. A signal had overridden systems that were not supposed to be overridable. And at the center of every unanswered question was one fixed point. A cafe that should not matter. A waitress who did not raise her voice. In one such room, a man leaned back in his chair and steepled his fingers. "This is not coincidence," he said. Others nodded. "This is not local," another added. "And it's not spontaneous." A third voice spoke from the shadows. "Find her." Back in the cafe, The waitress poured fresh coffee. Some people accepted it with shaking hands. Others declined, afraid to commit to anything that might make this moment real. The child returned to his seat. He watched the door. "You shouldn't stay," his mother murmured, more to herself than to anyone else. The waitress heard her anyway. "I won't," she said. The mother looked up sharply. "Then why?" The waitress met her gaze. "Because leaving too early teaches the wrong lesson." The mother didn't understand the words, but she understood the tone. A low hum began outside. Not engines. Something else. Higher. Cleaner. The waitress's eyes flicked to the window. Just for a moment. She set her cup down untouched. "That was quick," she murmured. The child followed her gaze. They moved smoothly, deliberately, like they had nowhere else to be. The cafe went silent again. These were not soldiers. These were worse. The man in the jacket backed toward the counter. "They're not supposed to be here," he whispered. The waitress adjusted her apron. "They usually aren't," she said. The vehicles stopped. Doors opened. People outside scattered instinctively, retreating into doorways and alleys. Inside the cafe, no one moved. Footsteps approached, measured, unhurried. The door opened. A man stepped inside. He wore no uniform, no insignia. His posture was relaxed, almost polite. His eyes, however, were sharp in a way that missed nothing. He surveyed the room, took in the civilians, the child, the waitress. His gaze lingered on her for half a second longer than the others. "Good afternoon," he said pleasantly. "I'm looking for someone." No one answered. He smiled faintly. "I was told this is where things changed." The waitress picked up a cup and rinsed it. She did not look at him. "You're blocking the door," she said. The man chuckled. "Still working," he observed. "Impressive." He stepped fully inside. The air felt thinner. "I don't care who you are," he continued calmly. "But what you did disrupted an operation with consequences far beyond this street." She placed the cup upside down to dry. "I didn't do anything," she said. The man tilted his head. "That's what concerns me." He took a step closer. The child stood. Everyone inhaled sharply. The man's eyes flicked down. The child looked up at him. "You shouldn't ask her questions," the child said. The man smiled indulgently. "And why's that?" The child considered him. "Because she's already decided," he said. The waitress finally turned. She reached into her apron pocket. Not quickly, not dramatically. The man stiffened despite himself. She placed something on the counter. Not the metal object from before. Something else. Flat. White. Folded once. The man recognized it instantly. His smile vanished. "That's not possible," he said quietly. She met his eyes. He took an unconscious step back. Outside, the black vehicles shut their engines off. Inside, the clock on the wall stopped ticking again. The waitress rested her hand lightly on the folded paper. "You're done here," she said. The man swallowed. "This won't end it," he said. "You know that." She nodded. "No," she agreed. "But it will change who speaks next." The child picked up his cup. The man backed toward the door. Carefully, respectfully, as if sudden movements might be punished. He left without another word. The door closed. The waitress unfolded the paper once. Then she tore it in half. The hum outside faded. The clock resumed ticking. The waitress glanced at the child. "Time to go," she said. The child nodded. Outside, a much larger decision was being made. And someone, somewhere, had just realized they were no longer in control. The cafe emptied slowly. Not all at once. Not in relief. People left the way survivors leave a place they don't fully trust yet. One by one, glancing over their shoulders, listening for sounds that might undo what had just happened. The mother paid for the coffee with shaking hands. She hesitated, then looked at the waitress. "Thank you," she said, unsure if gratitude was allowed. The waitress nodded once. The child lingered. He looked around the cafe as if memorizing it. Not the walls or the tables, but the way the air felt now that it had changed. "Are they done fighting?" he asked. The waitress tied the strings of her apron carefully before answering. "Not today," she said, "but they won't do it here again." The child accepted that. He slipped his hand into his mother's and let himself be led away. When the door closed behind them, the cafe was quiet in a way it had never been before. The waitress washed the last cup, dried it, placed it upside down. Then she removed her apron and folded it neatly, aligning the edges with practiced precision. She hung it on the hook behind the counter, exactly where it always went. Outside, the street looked almost normal. Too normal. The unmarked vehicles were gone. The soldiers did not return. Checkpoints along the block remained open longer than expected, then quietly dismantled altogether. Word spread, but not the way rumors usually did. There were no videos, no photographs that lasted longer than a few minutes before disappearing. No names attached to what happened, only consequences. Orders were rescinded. Operations paused. Units reassigned temporarily and never returned. In offices far away, men and women stared at reports that refused to explain themselves. Chains of command adjusted, not dramatically, but subtly, like a spine correcting itself after years of strain. Someone suggested retaliation. The idea died in the room before it finished forming. Someone else asked for confirmation. None came, because there was nothing to confirm. No weapon used. No authority claimed. No line crossed that could be officially acknowledged. Only a rule that had been remembered. The waitress locked the cafe door. She turned the sign to closed. The clock on the wall ticked steadily now, obedient, almost apologetic. She checked the register. Balanced. She stepped outside and pulled the door shut behind her. For the first time that day, she paused. Just for a moment. She looked down the street, then up, scanning the sky. Not for aircraft or drones, but out of habit, like someone who had learned long ago not to assume safety without checking. Satisfied, she began to walk. At the end of the block, a man stood waiting. Not hiding, not armed. He looked like he belonged anywhere and nowhere at once. "You didn't have to intervene so directly," he said quietly as she approached. She did not slow down. "You shouldn't have let it reach a cafe," she replied. He fell on his step beside her. "They're asking questions," he said. "They're afraid." She kept walking. "They should be," she said. "They want to know who you are." She turned a corner without breaking stride. "They already do," she replied. "They just don't like the answer." They walked in silence for a block. Then another. At an intersection, she stopped. The man did too. "This changes things," he said. She looked at the pedestrian signal as it shifted from red to green. "No," she corrected. "It reminds them." The man studied her face, searching for something. Fatigue, satisfaction, regret. He found none. "Will you stay?" he asked. She shook her head once. "Staying invites gratitude," she said. "That leads to questions." She stepped into the crosswalk. Halfway across, She paused. The man waited. She reached into her pocket and removed a small metal object, the same one the child had held earlier. She turned it over in her fingers, then closed her hand around it. "Tell them," she said, not looking back, "that next time, I won't answer a radio." The man felt cold spread through his chest. She crossed the rest of the street, merged into the crowd. By the time he reached the other side, she was gone. That night, ceasefires held longer than expected. Negotiations resumed that had been declared impossible. Borders remained quiet, not because peace had been declared, but because no one wanted to test what else might be listening. In the cafe, the lights stayed off. The chairs remained stacked. Days later, a new waitress would arrive, hired by someone who never explained why the position had opened so suddenly. Life would continue. Somewhere else, another crisis would begin. Another ordinary place. Another moment when power assumed it was alone. And somewhere, unnoticed until it was too late, a woman would set something down gently and remind the world of a rule it had forgotten. Because this was not the first time, and it would not be the last.